never believe this, but it helps when you actually plug the mic in. Wild thought. Hold on, let me switch my cameras around here. We're getting there. Wabam. Wabam. How about a script? Hit me up with that script, please. Let's adjust this up here so I'm not staring at the ground. Much better. We still don't have a script. Script activated. What's up, Heather? All right, we'll get there, I promise. Okay, we are starting with chapter 26. Once I get everything situated here. Okay. Oops. Okay, let's rock and roll, huh? From the beginning, please. Good Lord. What is it, my first day? Chapter 26. Stephen. Congratulations, buddy, Tony said as he walked into the kitchen. Man, you work fast with the ladies. Huffing, I barely glanced in his direction. All I could think about was her. Why had she tossed me out? Are you going to turn on? There we go. Bam. Her friend had no idea, but wasn't willing to offer any solutions either. At least she dropped me off to get my car, and no asshole reporters had been there. But they would stay outside at Christine's house. Until she finally had to go out. She had no idea how ruthless the bastards were. I did. I should be taking the brunt of the shit, not her. Meaning what? The game? The motherfuckers lied about me almost shifting, then that goddamn referee made shit up. I could tell Tony was staring at me. Yeah, the whole team knows that. I meant about you being engaged. In response, I huffed. Goddamn media. Why the shift in her attitude? No, pun intended. We'd had the best sex in our lives and had been so close. What had changed? And why had she been desperately throwing words into her brain? Oceans, chocolate, vampires? Jesus. I had a horrible feeling she wasn't telling me something vital. There's shit. Oopsies. There's shit. That's for sure. And that reporter was the worst. Although you are definitely trending this morning. I mean, wow. So is the whole team. Maybe you being a shifter's the best thing that ever happened to the what? Maybe you being a shifter is the best thing again. Maybe you being a shifter is the best thing that ever happened to the Gators. My life was crumbling before my eyes, and Tony was excited. Jesus Christ, I do have some fucking skills at hockey, you know. He whistled. Yeah, you do. You're damn good, man. Damn good. What's wrong? Nothing. He went about making a cup of coffee while I continued staring at the wall. I had no idea what to do at this point, but I couldn't lose her. I just couldn't. Would you stop moping for fuck's sake? Do you have any idea how ecstatic the fans and the coaches are with last night? Why is that so low? Oh, that's why. Let's scroll. And the coaches are with last night? Tony stood over me like some fucking mother hen. I don't care. You don't care. What in the fuck is wrong with you? Nothing. I already told you. I already heard it. What's wrong with you? What's wrong with you? No. Okay, come on. What's wrong with you? Nothing. I already told you. He laughed. Since you walked through that goddamn door, you've acted like someone stole your damn puppy. I mean, hell, you won a game last night that people will continue talking about for weeks. You put the Gators back on the map, man. On top of that, you're a social media darling. Every guy wants to be you. So the fuck what? So you got your willy wet oopsies. So you got your willy wet last night, didn't you? I lifted my head, narrowing my eyes with a hard glare. I couldn't understand what the hell had happened from the time she'd fallen asleep in my arms and when she'd been jarred awake. Unless she'd spent the time... Oopsies. Unless she'd spent the night fuming over how her parents had handled the engagement announcement. Jeez, testy. But it's true, right? I saw that gorgeous girl on the Jumbotron. She's a hottie. If you don't want her, I might take her out for a swing. My reaction was swift and without thinking, using the kind of anger that I'd been successful reserving for the ice. I shoved back my chair until it was slammed against the wall, taking one long stride. Okay, I have to mute this because TikTok really thinks this is hate speech, which is funny. That should be fine. That should sound a little better. His eyes. His eyes. His eyes. Including, oopsies. His eyes. I'd been about to call her my mate. That was the entire problem. I was a furry creature. She couldn't tolerate that I was a shifter. Suddenly, I hated myself for several reasons, including having my teammate in a chokehold. I backed off, turning away and shoving my hands into my pockets. I'm sorry. Wow. You care about this girl. Yeah, I do. Tony coughed, and I would think he'd run far away from me or toss me on my ass. Tony coughed. And I would think he'd run... Fuck. Tony coughed. And I would think he'd run far away from me or toss me out on my ass. But he remained. So, what the fuck happened last night? The Jumbotron caught you racing after something, and maybe you didn't know it, but people were cheering you on, hoping you got to the girl. Christine, right? Yeah. I could barely speak at this point. I was so damn gutted. It was crazy to feel the way I did about someone. She was totally unlike me, yet she fit perfectly. And she was my mate. Nowhere in any rulebook would Nowhere in any rulebook were there documentation on how to fix a broken whatever the hell this was. What did an alpha male do when his female tossed him to the curb? The curb. The curb. The curb. Maybe I'd write a book about my hockey career was over. Oopsies. The curb. Maybe I'd write a book after my hockey career was over. Depending on what Ansley had to say, that could be sooner versus later. I wasn't certain I gave a shit either. I'd lost her. I'd lost the woman who was not only my mate, but who'd somehow managed to snag my heart. You were chasing after her. Shrugging, I moved toward the window, staring into space more than anything. I was. I took her home and spent the night there. Now she doesn't want to see me. The crap from last night was too much. Wait, hold on. You're engaged, but she broke it off? Maybe that was just too fast. You've been in town less than 2 weeks. The whole engagement wasn't real. It was fake. She blurted it out because her parents were giving her crap. Plus, lying to her about who I was came back to bite me. I can't blame her. Wow, man, that's just shit. You do know all about her father and his hatred of shifters. Now I laughed bitterly. Oh, he was gloating about how he was going to fix the influx of shifters at dinner, glaring at me the entire time. See? Not a match made in heaven. But I kinda thought so. He put cream in... He put cream and 7 teaspoons of sugar into his mug of coffee, all while staring at me. You really do like this girl. Yeah, more than like. Then you need to keep letting her know. I tried. I planted her entire yard full of flowers since I ran over... I planted her entire yard full of flowers since I ran hers over. What else am I supposed to do? I planted her entire yard full of flowers since I ran hers over. What else am I supposed to do? Whatever it takes. But I give her some time. If there's anything I've learned about women, it's to give them time. If not, she'll likely cut your balls off. At least that's what 2 former girlfriends tried to do to me. With the coffee in his hand. With the coffee in his hand, he walked from the kitchen, and I resumed sulking. With the coffee in his hand. With the coffee in his hand, he walked from the kitchen, and I resumed sulking. But maybe he was right. I wasn't going to take this sitting down. She was my mate, and no one else was going to claim her. Damn it. Christine. Eyes watching me. I'd felt them just after twilight had settled in. Or I'd felt him. Or I'd felt him. Some would say Stephen had resorted to stalking me. I knew what he was doing. He'd been protecting me from afar. For almost 3 hours, I'd felt the heavy crackle of electricity, and finally, when I'd looked outside my back window, I'd witnessed glowing eyes. Seeing them could terrify most people. The thought of having a wild animal staring at you through your window should scare people, but I was comforted. Even with the reporters hanging out, Even with the reporters hanging around out front, I dared open the back door, going out onto the deck. I'd almost called for him, yet I hadn't been ready to see him in his natural form. And the way I'd treated him, as if he was a horrible creature and not a human being, had nearly destroyed me. He'd remained, right there, doing nothing more than letting me know he'd never allow anything to happen to me. Only this, he couldn't fix. Mondays came way too often and too early. It felt especially early for me today. I'd been out the door before 7, thankful the reporters had finally given up sometime during the night. Thankful the reporters had finally given up sometime during the night. I hadn't left my house all day on Sunday, doing nothing more than sulking behind closed doors. Plus, writing a scathing email to my father about why I'd never see him again. I tried to offer several crucial points regarding shifters and how important they'd become to society from articles I'd read. As if that would change his mind. But doing so had given me something to do. But doing so had given me something to do. Other than feeling sorry for myself and wishing I could turn back time. Wishing that I hadn't been so rude to Stephen, or that I'd told him the truth. But this was my cross to bear, mine alone. I was a big girl now, and I'd fought for my independence. The last thing I planned on doing was allowing anyone to influence the decisions I stumbled over that. The last thing I planned on doing was allowing anyone to influence the decisions I made. That's why I was all alone, sitting in a cold, stark room filled with nothing but books and diplomas, my foot tapping on the floor as the fear edged into every part of me. Every bone, every synapse, every blood cell. Just like some evil creature was eating me alive from the inside out. Maybe that's what shifters did. My laugh echoed. I'd purchased a book on Kindle. A shifter book that had been about. Okay, what am I doing? Rapping? A shifter book that had been around for years, so it didn't reflect the truths about their existence. Instead, the old myths were in place, and boy, they were vicious but sexy beasts. Then again, so was the man I'd confessed internally I was in love with. Or had I? The night was a beautiful blur, and in truth, all I could remember was the extreme pleasure. Instead of being sore like I thought I'd be, I felt fantastic. There were no feelings of being lightheaded, no rapid thumping of my heart as there had been. Well, when he'd fucked me, that had been entirely different. Of course, my heart had hammered nearly out of my body, but that was different. Anyway, if I didn't know any better, I'd say being his mate looked fabulous on me. My skin was glowing. Or perhaps it was my imagination. When the door opened, I put on a fake smile. "I'm sorry to keep you waiting, Christine. It's been a crazy morning." She had a file in her hand. She had a file in her hand as she moved behind the. She had a file in her hand as she moved behind her desk, sitting down. "That's okay. I still have a little time before school starts." She nodded, her smile full of empathy. "You look great." New fitness routine? No, I'm currently fucking a werewolf and sex is phenomenal. No, just trying to take care of myself. Good to hear. Anyway, I won't keep you waiting. Let's go over your test results. Okay. I sat calmly through everything, nodding when appropriate to do so, trying to glean every scrap of information. But I'd been through this before. I knew exactly what to expect. When she was finished, she leaned forward, even pushing a box of tissue close. Tissue I didn't need, because I didn't feel anything. Fuck. Close. Tissue close. Tissue I didn't need, because I didn't feel anything. Nothing. Do you have any questions? None, I told her. I think this has been a lot for you to process. My suggestion is that you take a day or two to digest, and we'll talk again about where we go from here. Yes, I was numb, but not in a bad way. It was what? Bad way. It was justification for the ugliness from yesterday. Now I didn't need to feel so bad about the way I'd handled breaking up with Steven. I'd done the right thing after all. Thank you. There was... thing after all. Thank you. There was something refreshing about being numb. I remember leaving her office, but 10 minutes later, I honestly didn't realize how I'd made any of the right turns. The school was just ahead. There was no There was no music playing, no sound of any kind. And when I noticed the Channel 5 people out front standing beside a big white van, I pulled into the back. I'd come prepared with a big old hat and sunglasses, which I donned before exiting my vehicle. And just like some femme fatale, I observed the exterior while walking toward the entrance. Only when I was safely inside did I Only when I was safely inside did I finally manage to take a break. I tossed my things and was almost to my classroom door when Tawny found me. "There you are! I've been calling you," she said. I was a little busy. She moved in front of me. "I know. What did you learn this morning?" After unlocking my door, I lifted my head, nodding. "Oh, honey, I'm so sorry." "It's okay." But it wasn't. No, it wasn't at all. She squeezed my hand. I allowed my emotions to take As she squeezed my hand, I allowed my emotions to take control, with tears forming in my eyes. Steven. For the first time in 5 months. Oops. Oh, my dog's barking, yay. Okay, Nova, if we could wrap up these barks relatively soon, that'd be great. For the first time in months, I'd shifted. I'd found a forest close to Tony's house, and I'd let go. From there, I'd chased a few rabbits for fun, but they weren't edible to me. But they weren't edible to me. And why? Because I might be considered a beast to everyone in the world, but I wasn't a monster. I was a man who was aching so badly he couldn't think straight. Then I'd gone to Christine's house, where I'd crouched outside her back door, watching for any sign of her through her window. When she'd walked outside onto her deck, the electricity had almost pulled me out into the open. But she wasn't ready. I respected that. The night before, when I'd been at my lowest point, the shift had made me feel a little more in control. When she'd gone to bed, I'd finally left. I cleared my throat, practicing what needed to be said. "You are my mate, and that's the way it is." Oh yeah, that would go over well. I shifted in the seat, glaring at myself in the rearview mirror. "Christine, I nodded you last night. That means you belong to me." Uh-huh. She'd likely have me arrested, and I wouldn't blame her. "So, we are going to date. We don't need to get married. We can just live together and fornicate like bad bunnies." Or wolves. Boy, I was sucking helium at this point. I truly had no idea what to say to her, and a full day of trying to figure it out had just turned me into a crazed beast. No pun intended. Saying the crap out loud that was running through my brain wasn't doing better either. Saying the crap out loud that was running through my brain had... again? Saying the crap out loud that was running through my brain wasn't any better either. Why don't you just say what's in your heart? After another glare, I made a face. Mind your own business. My inner voice also wasn't doing me any good at this point. Maybe I could use a lifeline and call my brother. Sure, he could be helpful. Nah, I had to do this all by myself. I was a big boy after all. What pissed me off the most was that she was being hounded. I'd endured having them chase me down at the house. I'd sat through another meeting with both coaches and Ansley, who'd been thrilled that the bad boy of hockey was settling down. And what had I done? Not a goddamn thing. I hadn't shut them down. I hadn't told them the truth. I hadn't acted like a gentleman. I'd been nothing but a goddamn slug. The Channel 5 van was hanging out at her school, and in truth, I was fucking fed up. The anger level was concentrated to the point I was ready to beat the crap out of someone. Tony was right. I needed to try to show her how I felt. Before I could talk myself out of it, I grabbed the flowers I'd purchased for her and stepped out of the vehicle. I was almost upon them before the female reporter noticed me. "Oh shit, Mike! Turn the camera on!" "Oh shit, Mike! Turn the damn camera on! We have a live one!" I took long strides toward the two, refusing to back down. The girl was giving me a hearty once-over. I'd use it. "Wow! If it isn't Stephen Masters!" "So you know who I am." "Oh yes, the Beast. You're all the talk of Tampa Bay. I'm Allison Walker, reporter for Channel 5, and would love to talk to you." "The morning news is still on, correct?" I asked. She narrowed her eyes. "Yes. Why?" "Then you can go live, yes?" She looked at Mike. "I need to call it in and double-check." "You do that. I'll be right here." I took a step away, thankful I'd gone to great lengths to find out what school she taught at. After a couple of minutes, I checked my watch. We were already developing a little crowd of people from the school. I had no idea about Christine's schedule and refused to miss her. Finally, Allison approached. "Mr. Masters, I was given the okay. We go live in 30 seconds. "Good. Then I have a few things to say." We're cooking. Not much in the lives today, though. All right, next section. Let's go. Christine. Oops. Christine. You won't believe this, Tawny said as she rushed past several of the students into my classroom. What's wrong? Hold on. She was almost running toward the television in the room, flicking it on. I'd never seen her so excited. I moved away from my desk, more exhausted now that everything had settled in. When I was close, I folded my arms. What are you looking for? Just shush, okay? When Steven's face popped onto the screen, I didn't know how to react, but I leaned forward, narrowing my eyes as a hint of recognition settled in. Wait a minute. Where is he? He was in our parking lot giving an interview. What in the fuck is he doing? I glanced over my shoulder to ensure there wasn't any kids in the room. There was. Anthony, my problem student, the one who wanted to be a hockey player. Anthony, can you give me a minute? I'd never seen the kid do anything but frown. His smile was incredible. So that's your boyfriend, Miss Carrington? He was so eager, I couldn't disappoint him. Yes, he is. Maybe. I'm honestly not sure any longer, Anthony. One day, I'm going to be just like him. You know what, Anthony? I think you will be. Just stay in school and do your best. Okay, I was lecturing a troubled kid when it was apparent my wolf was pouring his heart out on local television. School and do your best. School and do your best. Okay, so I was lecturing a troubled kid when it was apparent my wolf was pouring his heart out on local television. Well, I was dedicated. Anthony's entire face wrinkled. You should give him a chance, Miss Carrington. See, us shifters, we ain't so bad. He grinned before backing away, and I'd be damned if my bright student didn't tip his head back and howl before running out of the room. Wow, I'd had no idea the kid was a shifter. Are you paying any attention? Tawny chastised. I rolled my eyes, trying to ignore the anger sweeping through me. Why would he do this to me? Why? I'm trying. Go on, Stephen, the girl holding the microphone said. Well, I went along with her being her fiancé, not because I had to, or because I felt sorry for Christine. Then why? The girl asked. He looked directly into the camera. Because I love her. Everything about her. The way the light reflects the joy in her eyes, the way she laughs, the way she criticizes just about everything about me. Rightfully so. Fully so. Fully so. Fully so. Fully so. I pressed my hand across my lips. He had such a faraway look in his eyes. He wasn't talking to the reporter. He was talking to me. She has a way of making me feel like an idiot, yet, on the other hand, like the happiest man alive. She's beautiful and sweet, the kind of woman who would give you the shirt off her back. She works hard and refuses to take anything from her parents. Give you the shirt off her back. She works hard and refuses to take anything from her parents. Yeah, I love her, but I understand that her family hates me. Why do they hate you, Stephen? He glanced at the reporter. Because I'm a beast, a shifter. Supposedly I'd turn into a werewolf during a full moon and chase people and eat them. Because I'm a beast, a shifter. Supposedly I'd turn into a werewolf during a full moon and chase people and eat them. Which is ridiculous. But her father's out to eradicate us. Every shifter. He plans as governor to create rigorous laws that will eventually take away all our rights as humans, not just as beasts. Mr. Carrington, I am not a monster. I am a man who loves your daughter very much, and I'm proud of my family. I'm also very proud of who and what I am. However, she shouldn't be forced to choose. I won't allow that to happen. Christine, I know what I said and the way I feel, but I won't bother you any longer. That's how much I love you. But no, you'll always be in my heart. He held up at least 3 dozen roses, taking a deep whiff. Oh my God, Tawny whispered. My heart almost seized. I'll leave these right here. Please know that I won't love anyone ever again the way I love you. He shook his head, and before placing his hand over his heart, One ever again the way I love you. He shook his head before placing his hand over his heart. I stood with tears in my eyes, uncertain what to do. Did you hear him? Tawny asked. Uh-huh. Does it mean anything? What he said? Yes. Then what are you doing standing here? With my heart aching, I looked in her direction. She nodded, her smile huge. You love him. Oh my God. Yes, I do. So I took off running. I had to see him. I flew through the hallways, pushing past colleagues and students, all of whom were cheering me. Oh my God. Past colleagues and students, all of whom were cheering me on. When I slammed my hands against the exit doors, I felt as if I was riding on cloud 9. He was already walking away. No, no! Stephen? I called. Immediately he stopped walking, his entire body stiffening. I stopped running, gasping for air. He turned, cocking his head as he always did when thoroughly confused. I smiled, trying to figure out what to say to him. When we both took off running, somehow, he was making much better time than I was. Trying to figure out what to say to him. Then we both took off running. Somehow, he was making much better time than I was. When we were close, I jumped into his arms. He cupped both sides of my face as a crowd surrounded us. I didn't care that this was on film. I just cared that I was in his arms. Oh, baby, I'm sorry, he said, pulling away. A strange look formed on his face. It's okay. I was lightheaded. So much so, the sunshine began to dim, and okay, my dog barked, hooray. I was lightheaded. So much so, the sunshine began to dim, and I slumped into his arms. Christine, are you okay? Christine! Christine! Ruh-roh. Chapter 27. Stephen. In the hours since I'd arrived at the hospital, I hadn't been able to get warm, which was nuts since I was a wolf and my blood ran hot. I blew on my hands, leaning forward in my seat and rocking as I'd been doing since being forced to leave Christine in the hands of the doctors. I had no clue what was going on. But now I knew what she'd been trying to hide by filling her brain with a bizarre combination of topics. Tawny had tried to tell me while I was loading. Tawny was trying to tell me while I was loading Christine into my car, but I hadn't been prepared to listen. She'd been forced to remain at the school, but no one was going to keep me from Christine. However, I'd gathered the gist of what was happening. Christine was dying, and there was nothing I could fucking do to save her. I was angry, enraged, but I was no god. You bet I continued. You bet I continued to lie that I was her fiancé. I wouldn't be able to learn what was wrong with her if I hadn't. And I'd do it all over again. I lifted my head, studying the nurse's station. There hadn't been an update in a couple of hours, and I was angry and worried, furious that I might have caused this, whatever this was. Maybe a miracle could happen. Maybe a miracle could happen. Sighing, I closed my eyes, rubbing my hands together and... yeah. Miracle could happen. Sighing, I closed my eyes, rubbing my hands together until I heard commotion. Miracle could happen. Sighing, I closed my eyes, rubbing my hands together until I heard a commotion. Where is she? Where is my daughter? The man's voice was booming, filling the space full of his anger. And I recognized the damn voice. Her father. I stood, rubbing my hands on my jeans. The entire family had arrived, Mr. Carrington acting as if he owned the hospital. I told myself to calm the fuck down, even if I wanted to put my fist through his mouth. Sir, you'll need to calm down, the nurse told him. I'm not going to calm down. The bullshit you told me's not good enough, he snarled. The poor nurse was just trying to do her job and didn't need some rich, blubbering idiot trying to tell her what to do. Do you know who I am? Sir, I'm asking you to calm down. Curtailing my fury, I moved closer, finally catching Edward's eyes. Down. Curtailing my fury, I moved closer, finally catching Edward's eyes. Stop harassing her, Mr. Carrington. I'd expected him to be angry, but what I hadn't anticipated was for him to turn around, snarl, and throw a punch directly into my jaw. I'm gonna have to mute this. TikTok hates this stuff. Now I'm going to be the one to tell you to calm down, Mr. Carrington, Coach Wagner barked. That young man isn't just a fucking shifter. He's a member of my hockey team, a decent young man with a bright future, and from what I've seen, he cares about your daughter. So why don't you lose the fucking attitude? I managed to take a deep I managed to take a deep breath, thankful the coach had stepped in. Go on, son, the coach encouraged, smiling as he nodded toward me. I didn't do anything. She just fainted and I brought her here, I told them, shocked that half the team had showed up. I hadn't called anyone. I hadn't planned to until I knew what was going on, and I had no clue. I don't know yet what's wrong. Didn't she tell you? Sheila asked. Tell me what? Sheila glanced at her husband before answering. That she had leukemia as a child, and that it's been in remission? The news hit me hard. Now, it all made sense. The reason for her sudden change in demeanor. Her cancer had returned. No, she didn't tell me. You're not good for her, Edward yelled, and both coaches stepped in front of him. Didn't tell me. You're not good for her, Edward yelled, and both coaches stepped in front of him. I stumbled backward, fisting my hand. Had I done this? The doctors warned against stress and too much activity. Had I done this? The doctors warned against stress and too much activity. She's not supposed to be skating. Jesus, the agony was horrific. I didn't know. Another nurse appeared from the hallway. Mr. Masters, both Christine and her doctors would like to see you. Over my dead body. We're her family, not this useless hockey player shifter piece of shit. He's not a piece of shit, Tony yelled. He loves your daughter, and he's a great friend and a great man. Meanwhile, I felt like shit. Go on, Stephen, Coach Wagner said, parking his huge body in front of Mr. Carrington. Go see her. I glanced at my coach, uncertain what I should do. Yet I followed the woman down the corridor to her room. Once inside, I was floored by the number of machines as well as doctors in the room. The momentary silence nearly destroyed me. Stephen? Christine's voice seemed so damn tiny. With my breathing labored. I glanced in her direction. With my breathing labored, I glanced in her direction. Hi. She lifted her arm and I couldn't keep from going to her. You're here. Of course I'm here. Of course I'm here. Bending over, I kissed her soft lips. Every inch of me ached, wishing with all my heart I could take this cancer away from her. The doctors let us have a moment. Mr. Masters, I'm Dr. Carol Riverby. I'm Christine's oncologist. I hope you don't mind that I asked the team to be in the meeting with us. No. How bad? When I asked the question, Christine squeezed my hand. Well, that's why we wanted you in with us. You see, Christine hasn't been feeling well, so I ran some tests just to be certain. And well, as I told her this morning... Well, That's why we wanted you in with us. You see, Christine hasn't been feeling well, so I ran some tests just to be certain. And, well, as I told her this morning, her cancer had returned, metastasizing to her bones. I also told her she had 6 months to live. 6 months to live. No! No! I gasped, almost falling to the floor. Hold on, the doctor said. When she was brought to the hospital, needless to say, we ran additional tests. She was dying. That's why she wanted nothing to do with me. And what we found was remarkable. You're a shifter, right? Yes, but what does that have to do with anything? I was bristling all over again. The doctor walked closer. Maybe everything, since Christine told me you'd made it. Now, I don't presume to understand anything about shifter biology, but a couple of my colleagues have taken some classes and are working with some shifter doctors. So? Easy. Shifter doctors. Shifter doctors. So? Easy, Christine told me. So it would seem that, for whatever reason, your mating has not only stopped the advancement of the disease, but erased it altogether. What? I had no idea what she was telling me. Nodding, she smiled. I'm serious. There is no trace that she had ever had cancer. The tests we took were last week. In that time frame, her blood cells were replenished. How is that possible? I could barely breathe. One of the men stepped up. I'm Dr. Wainwright. I've seen a few cases of this nature. The best we can figure is that thanks to the two of you mating, the cells were attacked and eradicated. The best that we can figure is that thanks to the two of you mating, the cells were attacked and eradicated. She is cured. My guess is that her body was responding to the mating and not the cancer. She is healthy and expected to live a full and happy life. I wasn't a mushy guy. That had never been a part of my DNA. But hearing she was going to be all right broke me deep inside. This time, I fell to the floor, still holding her hand. For the first time in a very long time, I was thankful I was a shifter. And I did something I'd never done before. I burst into tears. Woohoo! This was it. The big game everyone had been waiting for. Long in coming. Short in timing. The entire state's group And the entire state's group of reporters had even set And the entire state's group of And the entire states, plural, dude. What's up, Test? Test with a T? Jeez, I'm falling apart. Short in timing. And the entire state's group of reporters had even several And the entire state's group of reporters and even several national organizations had transcended on the old Tampa Bay. The headlines were wild. Reports that two powerful shifters would shift on the ice, fueling the hysteria. There were even bookies taking bets on when it would happen, right alongside who would win the game. I was laughing about the whole damn thing, having the time of my life. That was allowed since I was feeling good, had enjoyed the best sex of my life the night before, and had my woman right here in the stands cheering for me. Life was good. Morning. I'm towards the end. I'm an hour and 9 minutes in. And it's one take here. My gas tank is getting empty. Life was good. But this book is cooking right now. Life was good. Life was good. As I moved around the ice, the only thing I could hear was the cheer of the woman I loved. She had a front row seat with her best friend and her entire family, along with mine. She was pumping her fist, even though it was still intermission. This was the big game of the season. The Chicago Wild Dogs and the Tampa Bay Gators were tied 2-2, but their defense was kick-ass. So was my brother. I had a feeling the entire game would come down to one goal. Just a feeling. I needed my good luck charm. When I was just below... When I was just below, my beautiful girl leaned over. "Hiya," she said. "How are things going?" "Not too bad. What do your parents think?" My dad is still a grump, but he was pumping his fist when you made the last goal. Seems he's turned a new leaf since you saved my life." I chuckled and offered him a salute. Wow, miracles never cease. Well, let me see if I can win this game. Maybe he'll start liking me. Maybe, but I don't care. Thank you for the extra tickets, and for Anthony and his family. She turned slightly, waving her hand at the kid 2 seats back. "You know what? He's got talent. I went to his practice." "You made his year." "Well, we shifters need to stick together." The kid was a misguided wolf and was damn good on the ice. He reminded me of... me. "Gotta run, babe. I've got a game to win." Before I backed away, she beckoned me with her finger. "Don't you dare walk away without giving me a kiss." And so it begins. When I cupped her face... When I cupped her face... Fuck, come on. When I cupped her face... When I cupped her face, I heard a collective sigh from the entire arena. After offering one wet kiss, I noticed we were the main focus of every jumbotron in the arena. As I backed away, I placed my hand over my heart. The entire audience roared. "Grandstanding, brother?" Saint asked. "Grandstanding, brother?" Saint asked. "Why not? I'm going to wipe your ass on the ice." I grinned. Oops. On the ice. Grinning, I skated around him in a full circle. It felt damn good to be on the ice with him. This was exactly where we belonged. He shook his head. "Bring it, beast. Let's see what you've got." "Whatever you say, Savage. You think we should shift for the crowd?" He acted like he was thinking. "Nah, let's just play some hockey." We circled each other again, and the buzzer went off. With a nod of respect, he moved away. It was now or never, and I refused to make a fool of myself in front of her parents. There was something to be said about a well-oiled machine, especially when all my teammates were involved. Since our win, we'd had another, finally working together as we were supposed to do. Maybe a few demons have been shoved aside. Maybe a few demons had been shoved aside, making way for the happiness that was made possible. Together as we were supposed to do. Together as we were supposed to do. Together as we were supposed to do. Maybe a few demons had been shoved aside, making way for the happiness that was made possible by the beautiful woman in the stands. Now there's a emergency vehicle. Boy, we're having some distractions. Supposed to do. Maybe a few demons had been shoved aside, making way for the happiness that was made possible by the beautiful woman in the stands. Fuck, I adored her. In all my years of playing, I'd never felt so cohesive as I did at this moment. The ice was smooth, the play solid, and as expected, the Wild Dogs goalie was spot on, preventing me from making 2 goals already. Ours had done the same, both Saint and I frustrated, and the clock was ticking down. With only 15 seconds left on the clock, we had control of the puck. I managed to intercept a lazy pass, deciding to run with it. Now, the crowd was on their feet. It was between me and the goalie now. Even my heart was hammering, the rush of adrenaline strong. Me and the goalie now. Even my heart was hammering, the rush of adrenaline strong. I funneled every bit of it into my skates. As my coach had taught me, I had to be one with them. They were a part of me. With my girl watching, I had to be top of my game, so I faked a slap shot, freezing the goalie. Then I dragged the puck into a backhand, and with a quick, rootless flick of my wrist, I let it fly. There was silence. There was silence in the arena, slow motion following. I watched the puck as it went top shelf, ripping the twine. The red light went on, and with full momentum, I fell to my knees, sliding across the ice. There was nothing on earth that felt quite as good as winning a game. Well, almost. I raised my stick in the air, saluting the team and my coaches, before freezing in front of Christine. This one was for you, baby. With the little skating I'd watched her do, I remembered a move she did, and a little spin on the ice. Oopsies. Skating I'd watched her do. Baby. With the little skating I'd watched her do, I remembered a move she did. Fuck. Baby. With the little skating... Fuck! Baby. With the little skating I'd watched her do, I remembered a move she did. I still fucked it up. With the little skating I'd watched her do, I remembered a move... Fuck. Baby. With the little skating I'd watched her do, I remembered a move and did a little spin on the ice. The crowd went wild. The roar was spectacular, and as I took my victory lap, it seemed the cameras couldn't get enough of the royal couple, as we were being called in the press and on social media. When I was done, I headed toward the exit, stopped by my brother before I could leave the ice. We both ripped off our helmets and stared. And I couldn't tell if he was proud or angry, until he offered the huge master smile. You did good, little brother. Just don't let it go to your head. You know I will, I answered as we moved in for a bear hug. Yeah, that's what I'm counting on, beast. Hell yeah. Cool. Well, we'll call it there today. We got 18 viewers in an hour. Not